Hello, good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to the show. The trademark registration process is what we're going to be talking about, how to register trademark in Uganda. And this show is supported by Uganda Registration Services Bureau. I'm your host, Charles Boji, and I have very special guests here with me this evening to walk us through the process. And then we'll be looking at what are the benefits that come with that process being done by a business. And of course, the costs for those that may not pay attention to doing that. But we'll get into the details of that after digest of this, small video that's going to break down a few aspects we're going to touch.
Uganda Registration Services Bureau URSB is an autonomous statutory body established by the Chapter 210 laws of Uganda. The Bureau is responsible for registration of businesses, intellectual property rights, and civil registrations. The Bureau also acts as an official receiver in handling of insolvency matters. Trademark registration is among the intellectual properties governed by the Trademarks Act 2010. The Act provides for, among other things, the registration of trademarks, the procedure for and duration of registration, the effect of trademark registration, and action for infringement of a trademark. There are several types of marks that qualify for registrability. These include trademarks, certification marks, identical or resembling trademarks, associated trademarks, series of trademarks, and defensive trademarks. The Trademarks Act entitles any person who claims to be the owner of a trademark used or proposed to be used to apply for its registration. This may be a natural person or entity. Registration of a trademark confers the exclusive right to use the mark and the right to act in case of infringement. A registered owner also acquires a right to assign his or her trademark. Any person or corporation who is the owner of a mark used or proposed to be used by him in Uganda may make an application for the registration of a mark in this country. Trademark registration is solely conducted by the Uganda Registration Service Bureau.
Well, I'm sure viewers, that has given us a bit of a digest of what we're talking about when we talk issues trademark. Now, in the studios, I have Sarah Rukundo, a Senior Registrations Officer from Uganda Registration Services Bureau. You're most welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you, Charles. I'm happy to be here.
Very good. Then I also have Brian Yesije from Bravo Shoes. Now, Brian is here as, a user. He's one of the business people in Uganda who has actually registered a trademark and is here to share his experience. You're most welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you so much. I'm honored being here.
Very good. Sarah, those are quite a number of, trademarks in there. It's a forest of them. In the video we are hearing quite, several trademarks that can be registered. But for starters, what is a trademark? What are we talking about?
Oh, so when we talk about a trademark, we are talking about signs. These can be names, numbers, or a combination of both that distinguish the services or goods of one proprietor from those of others. So when you go to a supermarket and you say, I want to buy sugar or I want to buy milk, you will be looking for a certain name on that milk. So that name which helps you to identify what milk you want to buy that day is a trademark. Okay. In our everyday lives, probably we may not think so much about trademarks, but I want you to imagine a situation where goods or services were not named. And for example, you go to a supermarket and you find milk or sugar and there is no other sign and you don't know what you're buying. You wouldn't be able to tell the goods of one person from those of the other. But because of trademarks, we are able to know that I'm buying this milk and not the other milk, or I'm buying the other soda and not the other soda, because the trademarks or the names help you to identify them and differentiate them.
Okay. Now, legally speaking, does it have to be just a name, or it goes beyond just that?
It goes beyond the name. It can be a name, it can be a combination of a name or a word and numbers, or it can even be a name and colors. Even colors are part of trademarks. Yeah, so it's not only words, but it's also a combination of words, colors, numbers, and other signs and symbols which people may choose to use to differentiate their goods or services from those of their competitors.
Okay. Help us get this right, because we're mainly talking about tangibles here.
Yes.
Because when you're explaining, I was imagining some of the brands we see, on, for instance, on the supermarket shelves and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So when it comes to services, how does that play about? How does the trademark thing all come out?
Yes, when it comes to services, it's pretty much the same as goods. For example, now our viewers know that they are watching NTV. Why? It's because of the symbol NTV on their screen and not any other TV. And of course, television or broadcasting is a service. So it's pretty much the same as goods. Yeah, there is no really difference between goods or services. They can use the same symbols as goods, only that, of course, for services, they are registered in different classes because trademark registration is according to classes, and not all goods and not all services fall in the same category. Yeah, each class has its own goods. For example, you find that television and broadcasting is in one class, then cleaning services are in another class, medical services are also in a different class.
Okay, so the classes differ.
Yeah.
Brian, what was your experience when you're going about this?
Of course, my history was about having an identity and to differentiate myself from the market. And having had an experience that so many people are doing business with no identity, and this brings a lot of confusion in your business. I took the initiative to go to URSB to register a brand because, yes, in our country, so many people have not respected brands. But if you had to look at businesses that have grown, all businesses you're seeing are about branding and identity. So this is what I wanted as Bravo Shoes, as a brand that can be able to be differentiated from the fake and the quality. And to differentiate that, to have a difference of the two, you must have an identity that is different from other people. Unless you do that, then it will be hard for people to identify what product they are buying from you. Though it has a lot of attachments that you must do, because I've always told people there's no brand that is cheap. A brand means quality. You can't have a poor quality and call it a brand. It can happen. So if you have to go into branding, you must have quality products for people to be able to identify, so for people to be able to know that, yes, once I go to a shop or I go anywhere, I'm able to differentiate between a fake product and a genuine product.
I hear you. Now, Sarah, I know, majority of our business people are what you would call not even small and medium, they are micro and small businesses. And a number of them probably are, hovering between being informal and formal operators. It brings me to this question that I want to pose to you. Who can register for a trademark? Or who can register a trademark?
Okay, thank you, Charles. That's a good question. Anybody can apply for registration of a trademark. We accept applications from individuals. We accept applications from companies. We also accept applications from a group of individuals. So whether you are trading alone, whether you're trading at home, it does not stop you from having a trademark. Because at the end of the day, when you are small, that is actually when you need protection the most. Because it means that if you start doing something good, there are people who are going to come on board and start wanting to copy you. And if you have no protection, it means you're going to use a lot of your capital trying to chase these people who are copying you. But if you are a registered owner of a trademark, as we'll see later, you can come to your RSB and you can make a complaint.
Okay. What sectors, from your experience, have, I know Brian here comes from the leather or shoe making industry. What sectors are actually taking up this? Because I know there are so many companies probably after getting the registration certificate. In fact, I need to understand this. I mean, I've registered my company. Maybe it's Johnson Tweyambe Incorporated or Uganda Limited. I have my registration certificate. I thought that gives me, some, good rights about that particular name, and I mean, why would I need again to register a trademark?
Yes. Now, when you register your company name or when you get your certificate of incorporation, it means that you have a right to trade in that name. It does not give you an exclusive right over that name. Moreover, if you're using it for branding, how you use it in marketing, or how you use it and with your colors, because it's a combination of things. Like you can see Bravo now. It's Bravo with a B, and then he has his orange and his blue.
And those nice colors there.
The company registration doesn't take care of that.
Okay.
Number one. Number two is that it doesn't give you the exclusive rights over, for example, the names Johnson Tweyambe. That is why you see for company registration, you don't need, for example, to advertise for people to come and oppose or object if they have an issue with your name. So what it gives you, the right it gives you, is to trade in that name. But if you want an exclusive right over that name for the goods and services that you provide. Let's say you're making wine and you want an exclusive right for your wine over that name, then you have to register a trademark.
Oh, okay. Quite interesting. What sectors are coming on board? I mean, who are the, which particular sectors would you say that these are actually, embracing this a lot more than the others?
I could say offhand that probably the beverages industry are the ones I see a lot. You see a lot of vodka, waraji, wine, banana wine, fruit wine. That sector is taking up trademark registration very seriously. But also it's because probably there is a lot of infringement in that sector, so they are taking it on seriously. The other sector is the cosmetics. The cosmetics people also are registering a lot of trademarks. We definitely see more applications from goods generally, people who are packaging foods and that sort of thing, more than we see from the service sector.
Brian, what was your motivation to register a trademark?
Yes, I've been in business for some time, and I like to be unique, to be different in what I'm doing.
Okay.
And it is through that I attended one of the workshops some time ago, some years back, with URSB, and URSB was involved in training people on how best we can protect our brands. And me, what I've put up is that once I get something that helps my business, I take a decision there and then. But however, you find that majority of people think that when you're fully registered, you have the brand, then probably URA will come for you. Probably, they'll start seeing your business more, but they want taxation, of course. So me, I am different in that line. I wanted the business to grow. Unless you identify yourself, unless you come up, unless you have an identity in the field of business, then it becomes very difficult for you, to prosper. But however, many years ago, I've always seen URSB going with the enforcement to Nasa Road. So many people have suffered with different brands, because they've been, taking over. You're selling a product that is not under you, and I realize that how dangerous it is for people to trade in other people's, in names. Ugandans always thought it's about writing a name, get a product and put a name there, but they don't know where the name comes from. So I didn't want to face a challenge, because since I've been in footwear, I needed to identify myself from the market, from the duplicators, from people who are illegally trading. That's why what inspired me, so that I can be able to put my brand to a certain level.
I'll ask you this as a business person, business operator. What kind of responsibilities come with, registering a trademark, as a businessman? Because, I mean, when you talk about brand identity, I mean, it means you're already managing expectations somewhere. Yeah? So just help us understand the responsibilities that come with that decision, and how good are they for business?
Of course, as a brand, I must tell you this, that I'm happy when people come looking for the brand. That makes me happy if people come looking for Bravo shoes. Just that, somebody coming from Gulu, Mbale, like us, we have customers from the US, from the UK, from Sweden, people who are in the diaspora. when they want shoes for their children, directly they are contacting us because we're a brand.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's so many people who are selling shoes. But you find somebody wants Bravo shoes in a manner that it's a brand, it's an identity. There are things that are attached with the brand in quality, standards, and the customer service, plus the after-sales service that we give our customers. Okay, it's about putting your business out there, and definitely taking yourself out of the market to be at a certain level. If you start to enjoy the market share, then you must have an identity. And as a brand, you need to tap into the market share.
I hear you.
You know, this is how good it is. Much as it takes a lot, which is okay, but you need to live up to the standards of being a brand.
Being a brand.
Yes.
I know some of your colleagues in that space might be a bit hesitant because they might think that among the sellers from Gulu, that might come, you know, looking for the Bravo brand.
Yeah.
Even the taxman and a couple of other
No,
might be among.
Of course, when you go legal, you need to be prepared. You know, you need to be responsible. A brand can't only have quality products and fail to be in good books with the government. You have to be in good books with the government because, first of all, you're registered.
Yeah.
They have all your tin and everything that concerns your product, your brand. Once you need to sustain yourself in the market, then you have to pay your taxes. But you see, our Ugandans have that fear of that when you pay taxes, you fail. Actually, I want to tell you that most people who are paying taxes have survived in business.
On that note, I'll bring in Sarah. What is stopping Ugandans from registering, you know, trademarks?
I think the biggest factor is that most of them may not know how important registration of trademarks is, and that's why we are here. And some of them have some misconceptions, for example, that registration of a trademark is very expensive. But when you look at the cost right now, I don't find it very expensive, considering that when you register today, you have to renew again in 7 years' time. So the total cost for registration of a trademark for Ugandan right now can be around 475,000. That is 25,000 search fees, 50,000 application fees, around 300,000 for the Uganda Gazette, where we are publishing the trademarks, and then 100,000 for registration.
I get you.
And you have 12 months within which to complete registration. So if you apply today and you don't have the money to complete the registration, you can complete it within 12 months. That's number one. And number two, after completing registration, you don't have to think about spending on registration again until after 7 years.
I think we'll talk about even the procedures. We'll go in detail on that, because I think our viewers will need to know, you know, step by step, how do I go about this, you know, and all that. But then I want to touch the aspect of awareness, about the things we're talking about. I know there are many businesses out there probably who may not be privy to this information. People hear trademarks. Sometimes people confuse trademarks with copyrights and a number of others. So, Brian, how did you get to know about, you know, this? With all due respect, I understand that many micro operators who probably cannot make a difference between, for instance, a certificate of registration and a trademark. They have their certificate of registration for a company. They're like, I'm home and dry.
Yes, I happen to be a member of CASITA, Kampala State Traders Association, and I happen to sit on the board as well. Ever since the time I've been in business, since CASITA started, I like to join such, you know, organizations in a manner that this is where we get to learn all these things. And I must say that as CASITA, with URSB, they are very good partners, and they have done a great job to train businessmen. Different workshops we've been into, business workshops that have been arranged for us, and we've called upon most people, like me. I've taken an initiative to tell people to join them, and it is through that most business men and women are now getting to understand about what URSB does, and I want to assure you that now people used to know was a wastage of time until when many are getting challenges and they have to run to URSB. But they are running there after knowing that, yes, it is simple to go to URSB and register your company probably. And I guess another thing that had failed most of our traders is because, you know, we have middlemen. As Sarah has said, that registration of a trademark roughly costs $450. But if you go through a middleman,
You can easily pay
with our lawyers as well,
Yes.
definitely lawyers will tell you it's 1.5 million. Then you're like, when would I get 1.5 million to register my brand? But we've tried to tell the business community, together with my leadership being there, that yes, it is easy. Just walk in, URSB. And if you look at this, it's very cheap. Only that the Gazette doesn't go to URSB. The Gazette is there to announce it's like marriage bans. It's also a ban out there to announce whether somebody is using the same name or as they prepare to register you. So if you look at the fees, I don't think they go up to 200,000.
Yeah,
that money that goes to USB doesn't reach that. It's only the Gazette that most people fear, and it is costly. But if you know you have invested in your business and you have vision and you know for your business, why not? That's nothing. You can meet it and be able to register your business. So on those platforms, we've been engaged. I myself, I have been, I have put up workshops myself because I have a lot of followers on social media. I've called people to train them on how to do business on social media with brand identity, with branding, and I must commend USB that I requested them to come and support me as an individual. I didn't know that it is even possible with this government agency to support an individual. When I requested them to come on board and be able to train, people had gathered on training them on how to do branding and do social media trading. They came in as a team, and they were able to be with us the whole day. And I found it very, very, very interesting, because most of the government agencies, it's hard, you can't get them. It was a weekend, and the team managed to come and do the training and give us you know, good things out of URSB.
I get you.
Yes.
Well, viewers, on that note, we'll take a very short commercial break. But when we come back, we'll be breaking down the steps that you need to go through, you know, to register a trademark after this very short commercial break. Welcome back. Viewers, we're looking at the trademark registration in Uganda, the steps that you need to register that trademark. We've already, you know, got to know that a trademark is a very, very important aspect of your business, because that is the beginning point of a journey of building a brand. Because every brand we know, I mean, you can mention them, you can think about them, you identify them by that trademark, as the word is. And of course, it's clear that a number of businesses in Uganda may not pay much attention to that, and yet it's as important as a differentiator of your business or of your product from the other products on the market. Now, Sarah, we, of course, to a number of our viewers, one of the things that could be running in their heads is, if I have my brand, I have my business, where do I begin, you know, to start on the journey of registering a trademark?
The first thing you need to do is to approach URSB, where the trademark section is found on level 6 of Georgian House. That is George Street, the street above CPS. You come with your brand, designed the way you use it, or the way you want to use it, and you conduct a search. And we will tell you whether your brand is available for registration, or if there is someone using it on the register already. If we tell you that the brand is available for registration, you will go ahead and apply. Application for a trademark is a single form. It's called TM Form 2.
Because I will to ask you about that.
Yes.
Sometimes there are so many forms and spaces to fill.
Yes, it's a single form. The form basically has a space for your trademark, what it looks like. It has a space for your name, your address, the kind of goods or services that you deal in, and your signature, and that's it. It's not a long form, and you don't need a lot of documentation. You just need to fill that form and tell us about yourself and show us what your trademark is, and we will handle the registration process. All the other paperwork from there is from our side.
I hear you. Now, if I'm from Gulu, I'm from Arua, I'm from Kotido, what options do I have if maybe I may not want or may not be in position to travel to Kampala?
The options you have are to visit other regional offices. We have an office in Gulu, we have an office in Arua, we have an office in Mbarara, we have an office in Mbale, we have branch offices here in Kampala, we have in Nachivubo for the traders who trade downtown. We also have another one at post office. So if you are not able to visit the head office, you can approach any of those offices and you'll be able to get help.
Okay. Okay, so after that, where do I mean, what happens?
After that, your trademark is going to be examined by a trademark examiner to see does it qualify to be registered as a trademark in Uganda. There are things we'll be looking at. One, that it shouldn't conflict with another existing trademark. Two, it shouldn't be scandalous, you know. You shouldn't bring a trademark that is likely to offend other people. For example, if you bring a trademark called the Sheikh for beer or alcohol, we may not accept it because we know a Sheikh is a Muslim and Muslims don't drink alcohol. So we wouldn't accept such a trademark. So you need to look out for that as well. The other issue is that we will look at a trademark to see whether it's unique, whether it's able to differentiate you. For example, if you are selling milk and your trademark is milky, you know, already that is a word that cannot differentiate your milk from those of others because it is milk. Okay, so you have to bring a trademark that is able to differentiate you. It does not describe what you do. It is not a common word because we believe that common words should be available for everyone to use.
I can see Brian here may not be comfortable with that because as a businessman, you like those catchy phrases, provocative things to attract attention to his product.
But that's why he chose Bravo, not shoes as a trademark.
Okay.
Yes, because Bravo for shoes is distinctive. It does not describe anything about his shoes, so he's able to differentiate himself. But if he has, if he had chosen a trademark that cannot fit that purpose, then he wouldn't have been able to register it.
Okay. So does, you know, that trademark need to have my address, where I'm located and all that?
Yes, you need to have your address where you're located because in case we need to get in contact with you, for example, if someone opposes your trademark, we will need to send you a letter telling you that someone has objected to your registration, and so you need to come and file a counter statement and give evidence as to why you are entitled to that trademark. So it is important that you indicate your actual address, where you work from and where we can find you.
Okay. So what happens if my trademark is then accepted?
If your trademark is accepted, we will give you what we call a gazette notice. That comes from URSB. We give it to you and you just go with it to the Uganda Gazette. You pay and then the Gazette will publish it in the Uganda Gazette. That's what our trademarks law requires, that every trademark that is about to be registered should be published, so that if anyone has a problem with you registering that trademark, they can come and object. Then if it goes to the Uganda Gazette for 60 days and no one has come up to object, that's when you come to your RSB again, you pay fees, 100,000 registration fees, and then we'll give you a trademark certificate. All that money, by the way, is paid in the bank. What you get from your RSB is an assessment. So when we give you an assessment, you go to the bank, you pay, you attach the receipt to your form or to your gazette, and then we will process for you a registration certificate.
Okay. Now, maybe you can go back a bit on the fees, what needs to be done, but I think that will come in after we hear Brian's experience. I know you, like you've already mentioned, you own a trademark for your products or your brand. You registered. What was your experience? What did you go through? Because I know sometimes you have the paper procedures, and then at times you might have the real life procedures. Yes.
To me, it was simple for me because I'm always inquisitive to getting information. And I would say that URSB is the simplest place you can walk in and register and go away without the back and forth. Once they see that the logos are well placed and they're not infringing on anybody, it's easy to register. So to me, I did not go through a lot of hassle. It was applying like normal. And they looked at my logo and they advised me, remove this, remove that, just on the table. Where someone says, no, this will not work, this will work. And in a short time, we were fully registered.
On the logo, did you have to get an artist to do for your logo? It was a dinner table meeting agreement?
No, of course, a logo, of course, when you have your designers or probably graphics designers, they can create a logo that you want. It's not about creating it from anywhere. It's you tells them that this is what I want as a logo. And then when you present it to URSB, then they look at it. There are two different things. Taking it to them and they accept it, or they advise on the adjustments that you can make. And there are those which don't need any adjustment. That it's already, it's an identity, and they feel that it is not going to coincide with anybody's products, and you're good to go. Depending on the class you're going to register in. So it was easy for me, and probably because I was ready to do that.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you help people with, you know, the look and feel of these logos, or it's just the legal parameters, you know, the boxes and the ticks and crosses?
Some people ask for our advice,
Okay.
and when they do, we advise them. For example, someone will, when you say your trademark is descriptive, it does not fit you know, all the necessary requirements for what a trademark should be. Someone can come and say, so what can I do in order to make it better? And we usually advise if they ask for our advice. But some people already know what to do, so they go back and they do what needs to be done, and then they come back, and their trademarks are usually accepted at the second try. And we encourage people to do the process themselves, to go through the process themselves. We do not encourage people to go through others. Why? When you go through the process yourself, you get to see how simple it is. You get to learn what you need to do next when you have another trademark. Because many businessmen have more than one trademark, by the way. Yeah, they have more than one. So you can imagine if you go through someone to register the first, and then you want to go through someone to register the second, the third, and the fourth. I think that's a lot of money. You'd rather do it yourself the first time, and the second time you will find it, you'll find it easy, and you'll want to do it every time you have a new brand.
Can I change my mind? Can I change my mind about a particular trademark? And if I'm to change and say, maybe I forgot a particular color passionate, what do I do?
It depends on at what stage your process is. If your process has not gone up to registration and it is still an application, yes, you can apply to amend your application to put a new trademark. Once it is registered, then you're asking to amend your trademark. That there is a process for that as well. So if it is an application, you amend the application. If it is a registered trademark, you amend your trademark.
I get you. Now, talking about simplicity, we live in a digital era. When are we seeing this process going digital? Like, for instance, I mean, from the steps you've explained, they look easy. Meaning that I can actually do it from the comfort of my office, on my laptop, or on my phone. Is it something you're considering, probably?
Yes, it's something URSB is considering. In fact, we say all digital, all online by 2021. So hopefully by the end of 2021, you'll be able to sit in the comfort of your home and file for trademark registration and all other URSB services.
Brian, how much did it cost you in terms of, because for business people, it's not just the money, but the time and energy you put in is also part of the variables you put in it.
Yeah, as I told you before camera, that URSB is one of the great organizations of the government, I must say, because the time frame is as you are told. They tell you 2-3 days, you get it. I've never had any challenge with URSB in line of registering different, because there are different documents, probably resolutions or all that. Because me, I know what to do. It's easier for me. I walk in there, you ask for help, and they will get you through, and you'll have your thing done. I think it's the organization I've seen that is as smart than any other organization in line of registering documentations. Because most of the organizations is back and forth. Most of areas we go to in the government institutions, it's a back and forth. But in URSB, you'll go there and they will give you the answer. Then you take a decision by yourself. If they tell you you need to pay this, go to the bank, pay, bring back the documentation. Once you are done with payment, it is easier. The process begins. It's easy with URSB. I've not had a challenge, and most people have always referred there and say, no, it is easy. Because I've talked to so many, if I may tell you, funny, that so many people have always found me very difficult, especially the business community. those who are making cookies, those who are making cakes, those who are making, you know, somebody brings a very good cookie or cake, then you say, who are you? No address, no brand identity, nothing. And I've also visited different stores when I go for these places where people are displaying. Then you find somebody, then you ask them, you're making very good cookies. Yes. By eating, they're good. So if I need it, how will I identify it? How will I be able to know when I walk in a supermarket that this is so and so cookies? You know? And most people have not found it very important. They think it's about putting a name and saying cookies. I said, yes, I may not meet you again tomorrow. But probably when I walk in the supermarket, I say, I want cookies for my children. I must look for these cookies because I liked them. So that's the power of branding. That's the power of identity. That's the power of logos and everything. You know?
Maybe on that note, what benefits came your way after, you know, going through the process? What was it like before and what happened after?
Of course, after my registration, I was very happy and comfortable. Much as, of course, at first you're fearing that duplicators or infringement would easily come until I faced the challenge as well in my brand. I faced the challenge and I saw how simple it was with URSB to tackle on that part. You know, sometimes they tell you, you know, you're registering because you need to identity, then we can protect your rights, we can protect your brand against infringement. Until you know how simple and quick it is, then you will never know the value of it. I face the value. It's now I hold URSB high esteem after getting a challenge. If I can share it with you, one time I happened to get information that people were selling Bravo shoes very cheap in the market, and I didn't know who they were. But as, of course, the owners of the brand, we took a decision to move. Until I found out who was doing it, I didn't know who they were. So I called URSB. I said, I have this challenge in URSB. I mean, in my brand, what do I do? Then I told them, look, they told me it is simple. Write a letter to the registrar complaining of what is happening, whom you suspect of being involved in such. And then they told me, we shall handle. I wrote a letter to the registrar and I dumped it there. Of course, I knew the government institutions, it is very difficult. It is after 3 days that I was called from enforcement. Somebody calls me and says, we need to meet you. Come and tell us the challenge you had. And it took another day that they took up the case because I gave them routes of where I was suspecting. Another 1 day, people had been arrested. Without putting in any money, without making calls that please, I have a challenge, help me, because I didn't know that there was enforcement action at USB until when I was told on phone. So we moved in swiftly and people were arrested who were trying to do infringement. And later, fortunately, I found that this was stock being stolen from where we had supplied it, and people were selling it in the market. This is what we found out. But you see the energy URSB used in taking decision and arresting everybody who was involved in this kind of undermining our brand. So I found it very, very interesting, and I'd never seen it. I didn't know the power of URSB. I thought probably it was for fashion, for probably anything. So I'm one of the most happy person online of the brand. And I can know now the power of registration because it's not about stopping registration. There are laws that actually protect us as a brand. And yes, much as, of course, people say that USP can't be everywhere, you are the owner of the brand. You have to be very vigilant. And once you have an identity, information comes by people who know your products, people who know your brand, how good it is. And once they find it, let me tell you, when people know that your product is 100,000 on 120, and somebody finds the same shoes at 50-20, they will give you a call. They will call the company and say, look, we're encountering a challenge here. Where are these shoes coming from? So meaning that this is the power of the brand, the branding, identity, that people are ready to fight for you because they know your good thing, they know what you're doing, so that they don't allow anybody to sell them something that is fake. So those are the benefits of branding because people know it. So somebody can't go behind and start freezing them unless probably you are no longer existing
Good,
they can
good.
have that chance.
Good points.
Yeah.
Sarah, these are very interesting and good benefits that you're adding to the business community as a whole. And on this, I would like to really pick your mind on one, how spread are you, to offer this kind of service to the business community? Because I know I've interacted with a number of them who will tell you that, we are suffering, especially, the Chinese counterfeiters, and, they seem helpless because when they go to other agencies, they are told to go to court. And you know what that means, for a small and micro operator. So how spread are you? What's your level of engagement with, for instance, business associations and entities, to bring, this information to where it's needed?
We are very engaged with all the known business associations within Kampala.
Okay.
And within Uganda at large. We are always ready to go whenever we are called. So if you have an association which we haven't visited and you wish for us to come and give you information, all the information you need on URSB services, we will come. Just write to the Registrar General and express your interest, say when you would like for us to come, say how many people you are, and we will arrange to come.
Okay. On that note, viewers, we'll take again another break. When we return, we'll be looking at one, of course, in general, we'll be doing a digest of what benefits have come, the way of most of the business people that have embraced trademark aspirations. But then we'll also try to pick your minds or have you weigh in on the discussion after this break. Welcome back, viewers. We are looking at trademark registration in Uganda. This show is brought to you by Uganda Registration Services Bureau, and we're trying to break down, okay, we've broken down already the process of registering a trademark in Uganda, the benefits that come with that, and of course, we then touched a little on the disadvantages or the cost of not having a trademark. But I think we'll again break down a lot more, for our viewers to understand more. In the studio, I have Brian Yesije, who is a businessman, proprietor of Bravo Shoes, and of course with a registered trademark. And then I have Sarah Rukundo, a senior registration officer from Uganda Registration Services Bureau. Now, this is the time when you can be part of the discussion. In this segment, we'd like to hear from you for questions or comments. We'd like to have this as engaging as possible, so that we get to know, if you're a businessman out there, how is it like for you when, people talk about issues trademark. But Sarah, before we get the callers, we touched a little on the downside of not having registered a trademark. But let's get a full picture or an understanding of what a businessman or a business operation stands to lose if they don't have a trademark.
The first thing that that business stands to lose is that it gets a lot of people who can copy their trademarks or their names or their symbols that they use on their goods. And when they do copy, you cannot sue for trademark infringement, for example, because you're not a registered trademark. The best you can do is to go to court and sue for passing off. And you do not have proof that you are the only or exclusive owner of this name. So that becomes a long process for you to prove, bring evidence, bring witnesses, because you don't have a certificate. But if you have a trademark certificate, already it's established who the owner is. So it becomes very easy for you to prove ownership. So the first thing you lose is that you lose a lot of money in defending your brand, which is not necessary once you're registered. Because once you're registered, you have proof of ownership. You can come to URSB for, and report trademark infringement, and the URSB enforcement unit will assist you. But even when you go to court, if you choose to take that avenue, still you are better off because you have proof of title of your trademark, which is a registration certificate. So that's what you lose. So in that process, you are also losing the continuity of your brand. Every time someone infringes, your brand is getting diluted, It goes everywhere. You're selling at 50,000, the infringer, because they have nothing to lose, they have not invested in the brand, they are selling at 15,000. And what they are selling is poor quality. It's going to get, maybe if it's, for example, clothes, they will get torn in 2 days. they will not be as long lasting as the original. So people will stop buying your things because they are infringers who are in the market diluting your brand and causing people to lose interest in your brand. So that is what that's another thing you stand to lose, continuity of your brand, if you do not register. Number 3 is that you, the business owner, in case something happens to you, you know, you have nothing to pass on to the person who is going to continue this business. If you have a registered trademark and, for example, you die,
brand equity.
Yeah, this person who is taking over the business can continue. Your trademark doesn't, I mean, your brand doesn't have to die with you. Someone else can come in, continue with the brand. But if you don't have a registered trademark and you're just trading as yourself, there is no brand, you haven't built anything, it will die with you. So those are some of the things that you stand to lose if you haven't registered the trademark. But also, generally speaking, the value of your business becomes less because, for example, if you're to sell your company or you're to transfer shares in your company, people will be looking at how much intellectual property you have, because intellectual property is also like any other property, real estate, and all that. So if you do not have registered trademarks, the person who is taking over the company cannot be sure that the company exclusively owns these. So your company is valued less than if a company has, for example, a number of registered brands which are ready to be taken on and continued.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Now, today we talk about the, cross-border trade. Of course, starting near home, the East African community or common market, as it's called. Does URSB protect me if the infringer, let's say, is from Kenya, Tanzania, or Rwanda?
That means that they are infringing by bringing goods that are similar to yours or that infringe your trademark into Uganda. So obviously, it's the Ugandan market, and you're protected, even if the person is from another country. As a matter of fact, in that case, it would be good if you know beforehand, before the goods come in, that these goods are coming in. In that case, enforcement unit can cooperate with the border police and customs, and they can even stop the goods before they come into Uganda.
Okay. Do you have an arrangement also on that note if, for instance, the infringement is taking place outside Uganda and it's another? For purposes of some of our viewers or some of the business people that are doing business, but maybe before I come in, we have a call on the line. Oh, sorry, I think we've lost that caller. Again, viewers, you can be part of this discussion with your question, comments, or suggestions. We're discussing trademark registration in Uganda, what you need to know, and of course, most importantly, the benefits to you as a business once you register a trademark. And we've already known that it's a very, very important step to take. It's not enough to just get that registration certificate of your company, which again, you get from URSB, but you need to take it a step further. And it's also a very critical step in building a brand. Dear caller, your name, question, and suggestion?
Yes. My name is Mugoya Suman, calling from Chileka. I found the discussion in the middle. I would like to consult what items are involved in the trademark. And there is where Madame Salas talked about something like, she said, when you're getting, she talked about some unique something. I do not understand whether it's the slogan. I need some clarification about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sarah will answer. Okay, I think you can answer that as we take another.
I think what Mr. Mugoya is trying to ask is what can be a trademark, because he's asking the items involved. Like I said, it can be letters, it can be words, it can be a combination of letters and numbers, it can be a slogan, like he has said. For example, we know that most of the businesses have slogans that they use apart from their trademarks. Or it can be a combination of even signs that are not necessarily letters or words, what we call symbols. Or it can be a symbol and a word. So those are the items that can be registered as trademarks.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Maybe the other aspect of this question is what items does he also need as a business person? But Sorry, we've lost another caller. But what items does he need to present beyond just these colors and everything?
Okay, so what he needs to present at URSB is a representation of his trademark, the way it appears. For example, let me give an example of NTV. If NTV is the trademark, you bring it the way it is, the way you intend to use it. And that is what we examine to see if it qualifies as a trademark.
I hear you.
Yeah, so what he was trying to say that I was talking earlier about a trademark not being unique.
Yes.
It's not just a matter of uniqueness. It has to be distinctive. That's what we call it in the trademark language, in that it is not a word, for example, that it is too common that it cannot differentiate your goods from those of others. An example I would give is if you're selling sugar and your trademark is sugar, you know, or it's sugary, and yet you're selling sugar, that's what you're selling. Or it's sweet, you know, words that describe what you're selling. We believe that those words should be available for everyone who is selling sugar to use. So because of that, we may not give it to you as a trademark.
Because
so that's what I
define
meant
the product in general terms.
Yeah,
for everyone
he's describing the product. So if you want, because when we give you a trademark, it becomes your property. No one else should use it. So if we give you sugar for sugar, what should others use to describe their sugar? You see? So that's the rationale.
You lock them out, huh?
Yeah, if we say we've given you a trademark called sweet for sugar, what the other sugar, what should they call it? You know,
maybe sweeter or something of that sort.
Yes, so
Brian,
that's why we don't.
Thank you, Sarah. We're nearing the end. We're at the tail end of this engagement. What are your last words?
I would advise the viewers, everybody who is in the business community, that please register your brand. Even if you are small, even if you have started making some good cookies, even if you're selling pancakes, always tell people, even if you're selling your pancakes, have a brand identity. That somebody will know that I need these pancakes. I don't need that.
Something like groovy pancakes or something.
Groovy pancakes or something. It's good to have an identity in whatever you're doing. This creates growth in our businesses. Once you cannot identify yourself, then whatever you're doing is a waste, because somebody will come and take over your brand. As Sarah was saying that you register your brand or somebody will take over your brand. It's not your brand unless it is registered, which means you're trading in somebody's brand. And it is very, very costly.
So we trade in objects, not brands.
Yes, it is very, very costly. For example, now if I hear that somebody has brought in a container of Bravo shoes that are fake, I mean Bravo shoes that it doesn't own, all the containers will be locked up, will be destroyed, because that's not our brand. So it's high risk trading in something whose identity, whose brand you don't hold.
Good. Thank you, Brian. Sarah, your last word, and specifically also on that aspect. I mean, I'm in Uganda. My brands or my products are being, infringed upon by a player in Kenya, Rwanda, Kigali. How does URSB help me?
URSB helps you by stopping them from coming into the country. Because when we are looking at infringement, the products don't have to be made here. As long as they are coming into this market, they are infringing. It doesn't matter where they are made. Yeah, so that's one thing that people have to know, that even if the infringer is in China, is where, as long as you have a registered trademark in Uganda, you can stop those goods from coming onto the Ugandan market.
Great. Yeah. What will be your last word for our viewers? My
last word for our viewers is that URSB is open Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. Information at URSB is free. We do not charge anyone for information, so please come and get information. If you haven't registered your trademark, come and do a search and find out if your trademark is available for registration. And if it's available, please, as soon as possible, go ahead and apply so that no one else can beat you to it. It's a simple process, and we encourage you to do it yourself. Like I had said, we are found on level 6, Georgian House, George Street, and that is the street above CPS.
Beating you to it, I think that is one of the, it's an operational word there, very, very important, because you could be having a brand for 10, 20 years and someone comes and registers that thing and takes away from you. The cost can be huge and enormous. We've been talking about trademark registration in Uganda, the importance of it. I've been your host, Charles Boji. And in the studio, we've had Sarah Rukundo from Uganda Registration Services Bureau. And then, of course, Brian Yesije from Bravo Shoes. Gentlemen and lady, thank you very much for being part of the show. Until next time, have a good evening. Bye-bye.